right, let's go ahead and get this shit started. It is the wee hours of Sunday morning. It is a little less wee than usual because I was stuck binge watching Solo Leveling, which is not a good anime, but it's like having a big old bowl of potato chips. You know, you can't stop fucking eating them. You know they're bad for you. You don't actually want to have more potato chips, but you want just one more potato chip, you know? Just a couple more potato chips. Not a lot of potato chips, just a couple more. And then the next thing you know, the bowl is empty, and you're like, who ate all these potato chips? Surely it wasn't me. But yeah, the thing I've been seeing a lot of this past week is people talking about everything that's going on with the YouTube algorithm. I don't know where your wires got crossed or whatnot, but the job of the algorithm on every platform is to make the platform money. If you make money, well, that's a nice bonus, but a lot of the platforms really have no interest in making you money. Facebook is never going to make you any money, and the algorithm on Facebook, you know, that pushes shit into your feed has nothing to do with making you money. It's all about making them money. The algorithm on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck, it's there to make them money. It has nothing to do with you. The algorithm on YouTube makes them money. The algorithm on Google makes them money. That's what the algorithm is for. It's to make them money. All other tasks are subrogated to the primary objective of making the platform money. Now, YouTube's not stupid. So let me jump over here and we'll draw a quick diagram because I'm a diagram kind of person. Ignore the piece of referencing. I snipped this out of one of the earlier episodes of Solo Leveling that I saw because it's a really good example of silhouetting, and I kind of like the thing that's going on up here with the, hold on, what is going on here? I don't know what the fuck is going on with this, but fairly frequently, my tablet just arbitrarily decides that it's going to change its working area to some other monitor. The monitor's on the fucking tablet, idiot. Anyway, isn't that up at the top? Isn't that one of the top layers? Okay. So anyway, I thought this hair in her face was interesting. And I thought the rim lighting on her midsection was interesting. And I like the silhouetting, and I like the thickness that they gave to her outfit to give it more substance. Because you could see right here that it sits substantially above the skin here. But that's for a later point in the video when I'm doing my artwork and shit. And obviously the tummy button. I like tummy buttons. Tummy buttons are cute. So anyway, you got YouTube kind of sits in the middle here. All right? And their job is to get paid. And their money comes from advertisers. So you got your advertisers over here, and your advertiser has a product, okay? Now their job is to spend some money over here on YouTube, and then YouTube takes those ads and it puts them on your videos. Now, there's a creator down here who made the videos. It would be somebody like you or me. It would be something like this video. And then you've got all the viewers over here. And all the viewers are watching the videos. Now, the idea is the viewer is watching the video. YouTube sticks an ad in the video, and the viewer goes, oh, I like that ad. And they click on it, and it takes them to the product. And then the viewer gives money to the advertiser. So the idea is the advertiser is spending this money to get this money. It wants the money from the viewers to be more than the money it spends for the ads, obviously. And YouTube knows that if they can't get you to keep putting videos on YouTube, they're going to run out of videos to put ads on. So they give a little slice of that money to the creator. They hand a little of that over to you, which means you've got a company over here that has this big bunch of money that they made from advertising their shit. And they give a slice of that to YouTube. So you've got the advertiser, and you've got YouTube taking a little slice of the money. And then way down here, we have the creator taking a slice of the slice. Okay? That's how all of that fits together. Now, here's the problem. If advertisers don't want to put ads on your videos, YouTube does not give a single fucking shit if anybody ever watches your video. They don't care. If your viewers don't click on the ads, they don't give a shit if anybody sees your videos. If your viewers don't click on the ads and buy the product, well, the advertiser doesn't care about your videos. And if the advertiser doesn't care about your videos, YouTube doesn't care about your videos. All of this is about the money. It's all just about the money. If your video doesn't serve the concept of getting the fucking money, then YouTube doesn't care if anybody sees it. They don't care if you get an audience. They don't care if you make a living. They don't care if you're compensated for your work. They simply do not care. The only thing they care about is the money. So, you got two choices. Choice number one, you can expect that YouTube is never going to give you any money, and you're just going to end up with whatever viewership you end up with just by happenstance. Because YouTube does want to keep viewers on YouTube for a long time, and they've got to keep showing those viewers content, and the viewers can't only get ads. If the viewers only got ads, they'd stop coming to YouTube. So YouTube is going to try and show the viewers stuff that they like. If you make stuff people like, YouTube will show it to people to keep them on the platform. But they don't actually care if you make any money, if you get popular, if you gather an audience. They don't care if you accomplish any of your goals. It's your job to pursue your goals, unless your goals happen to make YouTube money. If your goals make YouTube money, YouTube shares your goals and will help you. But if your goals don't make YouTube money, YouTube doesn't give a shit. My goals don't make YouTube money. My goals don't make YouTube money at all. The only thing I'm really interested in here, I mean, mostly this channel is for me. It's for me to run my mouth every Wednesday. That's why I call it Old Man Yapping. That's all it is. It's an old man yapping. I'm lonely. I have nobody to talk to, so I make fucking videos. Meanwhile, on Saturday nights, I come in here and I show up and I do some work on something that I'm working on. Now, typically I go back and forth between kind of game dev and art, but lately I'm just doing art because it's the time of year that I have to do a lot of yard work. And yard work just really takes it out of me. And because it just really takes it out of me, I can't work on code. And I don't really get a choice in whether the yard work gets done. I mean, the yard needs maintenance. That's just the way it is. So I have to do the yard work, and if I have to do the yard work, then I'm just broadly incapable of doing any coherent thought that I would need to do to write code. So not a lot of code is getting written right now. I'll get into writing code later. I'm just not sure when. But no matter how much work I do outside, I can still sketch. I can still do art. It's still hard for me to think, but I can just kind of check out and be brainless and shit, and work from reference, and think about stuff, and just kind of develop the artistic eye, and all of that sort of shit. There's all kinds of stuff that you can pull out of this, all kinds of little bits and pieces. One of the things that I notice in this particular piece here is the way that they've done the shadows. And you have this kind of step down on the shadows to show the contour of the arm piece. And it steps back out over here. I find that really interesting. I think that's instructive and cool and meaningful. Another problem with this time of year is, holy shit, do I have to blow my nose a lot because of fucking allergies. Hey, fun fact, did you know your tear ducts are connected to your nose? That's why when you cry, your nose runs. And when you get older, when you blow your nose, sometimes when you blow your nose, the snot can back up into your tear ducts and you can get an eye full of snot. Isn't that fucking fantastic? Isn't getting older just the greatest goddamn thing in the world? Anyway. What I'm getting at with the algorithm talk is, don't expect the algorithm to ever help you with anything unless you're involved in doing something that's going to make YouTube money. And if you don't want to focus on, what can I do to make YouTube money? Your marketing and promotion is basically up to you. It's not really something YouTube is going to help you with. They do have a fundamental basic way they work, though, which is just like when you upload a video, that video is going to go to a particular group of people. And about a third of those people are going to be your subscribers who have notifications on, okay? It's going to send about a third of the possible views to those people. And it's going to send the other 2/3, it's going to go to strangers of two particular types. And the first one is strangers that are interested in people like you, and it's also going to go to strangers who like videos like this. Now, you see all of these people that are pissing and moaning, and they're saying, most of you watching this aren't subscribed. That's because YouTube thinks there is a larger audience for your channel out there. And they're trying to get that audience for you because they know once you get enough people on your channel, you're going to turn around and try to monetize. And then you're either going to become a big old headache, or you're going to start making money, and then they can get some money. They're interested in that. They want you to get to a point that you can start making money, and they want to give you the tools to figure out how to make more money because you'll try to make money. They're not stupid. So the thing here is, they send this stuff to your subscribers and to some strangers, but they only send it to a few subscribers. They send it to a little sliver of your people. And if it gets a good response, they're going to send it to a slightly larger sliver, and then to a slightly larger sliver, and then to a slightly larger one. Now, the problem is that if this goes out to a bunch of your subscribers and they don't watch it, YouTube goes, ooh, they made a stinker. And then they don't do the rest of the promotion. They will cut the promotion short if people aren't watching your video. If you get views, they do the next phase. If you get more views, they do the next phase. They ramp it up every time. But if you don't get any views, they don't ramp it up. That's why, like, most of my videos get maybe a dozen views, okay? Sometimes I do a video and a lot of people watch it and it gets a whole bunch of views and it expands into hundreds and hundreds of views because if it resonates with enough of my subscribers, they start sending it to more people that aren't subscribers. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those people subscribe to the channel. Like, my channel membership has gone up like 50% in the past week. You guys aren't gonna get what you think you're gonna get. Okay, this is not a channel about programming. This is a channel about me, this old man, doing my shit. And I talk about programming, yeah, but I also talk about economics, and I talk about social media, and I talk about marketing, and I talk about business, and I talk about education in general. And a lot of you are not going to like this. And I swear I won't be upset if you unsubscribe. If you subscribed because you wanted more programming shit and you're not getting what you subscribed for, please, by all means, unsubscribe. Because if you have subscribers that don't actually like your content, but are too polite to unsubscribe from it, they're crapping up the early results of your video. And then YouTube doesn't do the next phase because so many of your subscribers are like, well, I don't want to unsubscribe because what if he does something I like? But not this shit. And I get it. I'm inconsistent, okay? I don't do the same thing over and over again. I always thought that was a good thing, not to do the same shit over and over again. I mean, I kind of do the same shit over and over again. I kind of talk about the same concepts, but I try to talk about different aspects of them. Anyway, the purpose of this channel is mostly for me to make sure that I get my shit done every week, because I have this bondage and discipline deal with myself that every single week I'm going to do at least 20 minutes of work on either my code or my art. And lately I've been doing the art, but this is me keeping myself honest. I'm supposed to do 20 minutes of art practice, which I'm going to do, of course. And I'll continue talking about shit. It's hard for me to talk about one thing and think about something else, though. So I may get scatterbrained. So the thing is, I'm looking at this, and the face is really just like nothing. It's like an angle and a line and another line. And this kind of simplification is difficult to do. I do have here, there's the edge of the cheekbone. There was something else I saw earlier, which just something I was working on a t-shirt design a while back, and let me see. Yeah, here it is. I was working on a t-shirt design, and it's this, okay? Now here's the thing. When you tilt your face back like this, let me jump over to the notes layer. When you tilt your head back like that, the cheekbones go over the bottoms of the eyes. That's one of the reasons this doesn't look right, because that upward angle causes the cheekbones to be up over the eyes. And I didn't reflect that here. So that's one of the reasons this doesn't look right. There's a bunch of other reasons it doesn't look right, but that's one of the things. No, do not save. I've made no meaningful progress on it. But that's a minimal face right there. Just line of the jaw, line of the chin, a mouth, and a nose. Simplification is kind of difficult. It's like if you're doing an animal, all you actually need is that? That's an animal. What kind of animal is it? Well, you just got to give it ears. It's like if you do this, okay? That's a little teddy bear right there. That's a little teddy bear. But what if, instead of doing the teddy bear ears, what if you did pointed ears? Oh, hey, that's a cat. That's a cat, and that's a bear. Look at this. What if you take that same basic shape and you just put the ears down here? Now you got a dog. And you can do all kinds of ears. You can do bunny ears, you know? You can do fox ears. Fox ears are very big and sit up high on the head, you know? You set them a little bit farther off to the side, you got a cat, but you make them big enough. Well, now what you got is a fox. And that kind of simplification is really a lot harder than we give it credit for. And it's the same thing here, where we've got this little shape here. That's the nose. And you could do different shapes of noses in various ways. You can have a much longer and shallower nose. You can have a cuter nose. You can have a smaller nose. You can have a more hooked nose. And then the mouth. You can take the mouth, and all you got to do is just you can tilt it in different ways. And there's also, this is just a line, but you can do that line, that same angle, you can do in a couple of different ways. You could trail it off to the side over here. You could trail it off to the side over there. Or you could do it straight across. Or you could probably do it both directions. Line quality is something that I work on fairly frequently. You can start bold and get thin. You can start thin and get bold. You can start thin and end thin. You can get bold in the middle. You can get thin in the middle. Getting thin in the middle is kind of hard for me. Kind of trailing off in the middle. They do that a lot with smiles in anime these days. They do the smile, but they do the two halves, and then they just kind of leave this empty spot in the middle for some reason. I don't know why they do it that way, but they do. Matching curves is a fun thing to try. And one of the easier ways to do that is to go in between. Like you draw a curve, you draw another curve, and then you try to draw the same curve in between them, and the same curve in between each of those, and then the same curve in between each of those. And I don't do all that great in it. An exercise I really like is you draw two dots, and then you draw a line that goes from one dot to the other. And you can draw the dots in any relation to one another. For example, you can draw a dot here, and you can go, okay, I'm going to draw a dot over here. And now I'm going to draw my line in this direction. And of course, to be a competent artist, you want to be able to draw the line in all directions. But one line in particular is going to be hard for you, and that's the one where your hand is covering the second dot. And you can't see it. You have to guess where it is and go there. Or you have to put your hand in some kind of awkward position. And of course, you can just rotate the canvas to make it easier. I don't do that when I'm practicing. But one of my favorite little exercises is I'll draw 2 dots, and I'll draw a 3rd dot, and then I draw a curve that goes through that 3rd dot. You can do that in either direction. If you want to get really fancy, you could try to start from one of the dots on the same side. Trying to draw a curve that hits all 3 dots is not easy. You can do that with any collection of dots, and you can do it in any order. I find that a really helpful exercise because one of the most common things you'll do in drawing is you'll have to draw a line from point A to point B that matches a curve passing through point C. And you want that line to be fairly smooth and look accurate. And you just practice your lines. You do that over and over again. It's like, here we go. Point A to point B and pass through point C. Point A to point B. Try and match a curve. Just tracing over this stuff and learning to make the lines that are in the piece of work. I really like this kind of shaggy hair thing they've done. That's one of the things I wanted to take a closer look at, was to kind of zoom in on that and go, how did they do this shag? Because they've got the implication here. They've got the implication here of some pieces of hair, some individual locks of hair, but it's just the appearance. They don't actually have a line to show that lock of hair. It's just an implication. They don't actually define that lock of hair. And they just do this kind of, I like this rim lighting thing that they did around the side. And then there is, of course, the nose and the mouth, and there's the chin. There's the neck, the shadow of the neck. And really, you can take that and you can drag it off to the side, and you've got the foundations of that face. That's not a bad impression of a face. It's even better if you scroll out on it. If you scroll out fairly far, because this image was a fairly small picture. It's not very distinct because it was a picture at a distance. And the silhouette, here's one of the things that just kind of, that eludes me a lot, is the crossing of lines, because you see she's standing kind of, here's the center line of her hips right here. And then here is the center line of her chest. And you can see this kind of moves over. And because it moves over, there's this twist. And because there's a twist, the upper part of the chest kind of twists around like this. One of the other things that I'm constantly looking at is the implied structure of the body that they're using to think about the construction. Like right here, we've got this leg that comes up here and then kind of circles around. And we'd have more or less the same thing over here. That would also circle around, and that would come down into the crotch. And you can see there's a, this is kind of elongated, actually. It's longer than it ought to be. So she looks kind of taller and thinner. Also, if you look at the tilt of the rib cage, it's exaggerated. And you can do that in deep perspective. Like here's the neck, and the spinal column would be there, the throat would be there, and the throat has to go in through the rib cage. And the rib cage is tilted, of course, but this rib cage is in a very odd sort of position. So kind of here's the side, and here's the other side there. And typically your rib cage is going to come down like this. But that's a weird structure for the rib cage. It just seems like there's a whole lot. Seems like there's a whole lot of spine there. And that's not what you would normally have. So the anatomy is a little bit distorted. The way this shadow here is constructed, like here's what I don't get. This little tail of light right here. I don't know why we have this little tail of light there. It seems like that should just be part of the existing shadow, like that. And what this really reflects is kind of the, it's the curve of everything, because the light is facing this direction, but we have a curve, and that curve comes around, that curve circles around like this, and then continues to circle, and right there is where it crosses the line from light into shadow. And then as it continues around, we cross back into light over here because we've got more light that's coming from a little bit in the front. We've got more light that's coming around here. The light kind of reaches around the back, and you get this little rim light effect. This little shadow right in here is kind of fascinating because that's a crease in the structure of the body, is what that's showing. What's that little crease right there? That the leg is kind of over here in the light, and then there's that little crease in shadow right next to the pelvic bone, and you get another one over here. From an anatomical perspective, what you have is you have the leg existing in this space here, and then you have the crotch, and it comes up, and you have the other leg existing in a similar space here. And this spot right here, this is in light up to here and then shadow right there. But this part remains in light all the way over to here. And the step down process on the arm pieces. You're looking more or less straight on at them. But you wouldn't be looking more or less straight on at them. See, if you're looking more or less straight on at this little area right here that has the lighting along the side, then this part would come down, and if you're looking straight on at that, this part is actually going to circle around. It's going to curve under. Because if you're looking at it from above, that elliptical shape is going to be like that, and that's going to get more pronounced as you go farther down. So it's not going to go straight across, it's going to go across like that. And then your shadow is going to come down, and then it's going to step to the side a little bit there, and then it's going to step to the side a little bit more there. And then up here on this, we're going to have a little bit of shadow along that. And that comes down here, and it's connected with a little kind of rivet like that. Here again, we've got a curve that's implied here, but here that curve should be upward, because if you're looking at the middle of this, you're looking at the underside of that. So that should be going like this. Because when you're looking at a cylinder straight on, the top of it is going to bow upward like that, and the bottom of it is going to bow downward like that, because you can't see either the top or the bottom. If you move it farther to where you can see the bottom, then they both slope up. And if you move it farther down to where you can see the top, then they both kind of slope down like that. And obviously the one you can see is larger than the one that's concealed, because it's facing away from you, and that's your basic perspective. But when you're looking right here, you get that kind of thing. And here what we would have is we would have a shadow that came down this area, and then we'd have that shadow kind of give way there. So there'd be a sort of a rim light effect here. Come over here to the palette and we select. Then we'd have the shadow color here in this space. And we would have the skin color here in this space. And we'd have a little skin color over there. So we'd have kind of that sort of thing on a cylinder, but we also want this space to kind of feed in to the skin. And we also want, from the skin perspective, we want to get more saturated into the pinks and a little bit more red. So we would also want Also want a kind of a pink fade right there, but we'd want it thin. Want that thin there, and then kind of fuzz into it from over here. Because that's the effect of subsurface scattering on human skin. You get a little bit of a red on the edge of the shadow. The softness of the shadow depends on how much something curves. If you've got a very strong curve on something, if you've got a very wide, gentle curve like this, then your shadow color is going to come over here, but as it crosses over into the flesh color, the smooth edge is going to be much wider. And that's going to go kind of in both directions, really. But that line is gonna, and sort of, you can blend in that direction. Kind of smooth that out. If I do the blend up into this space here, and do the blend all the way up to there, and then I grab then I do the red like that. What if I do the blend from there? What if I blend the red bit? I'm not sure how I feel about that. One of the things I really need to work with is understanding how the blending tool operates in terms of, we've got one color over here, and we've got another color over here. And I really need to get a feel for how the blending tool blends between them and how I can get a smooth blend from one to the other that starts and ends the blending where I want it. I am not good at that right now. And I'm not sure how to get good at that. Except by doing a whole lot of it. Doing a whole lot of it is kind of the only way that you get good at anything. The only way to do good work is to do a lot of bad work. Anyway, that's my showing up for this week. I've been working on this for an extra 28 minutes. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe. Not for the algorithm. Well, kind of for the algorithm, but all of that stuff is mostly for you and not really for me. It's for you and it's for YouTube. YouTube uses that to figure out what kind of stuff you would like to see. When it looks, you remember I mentioned the algorithm looks for, half of it is looking for people like me, and half of it is looking for people, or more accurately, channels, and half of it is looking for videos like this. if you like and if you subscribe to my channel, it tries to look for more channels like mine to recommend those to you. And if you like my video, it looks for more videos like this to try and show to you. Now, when you match up with somebody else, it'll also try to show my video to other people who liked videos that they're going to recommend to you. It gets complicated. But mostly, all of those signals, all of that like, comment, subscribe stuff, it's not as good for the channel as it is for your recommendations from YouTube, where it's learning what you like and what you want. But of course, that only matters if you're logged in. Anyway, I showed up. I'm glad you showed up. I appreciate every single one of you. And again, if you're here looking for a particular type of content and I'm not delivering it, by all means, unsubscribe. You're not required to stay here. I'm not going to be offended if you leave. And I do pretty much make videos on whatever the fuck I want. So if you're hanging around here, it doesn't really matter what you're looking for. What you're going to get is whatever the fuck I want, because that's the kind of channel this is. It's a personality channel masquerading as an educational and art and coding channel. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, as you may have figured out, I don't spend a lot of time editing my videos. I do one fucking take. I do one take, and whatever comes out, we're done. Now, sometimes I will do a take and I will go, that's garbage, and I'll delete it and I'll do another one, but not usually. Usually I just fire shit up. I say what I got to say, I do what I got to do, and then I go, okay, I'm done, and I hit stop. Just like this.